Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing wonderful. My name is D'Angelo Murillo from The Geek Life, and I am here at Anime Expo 2022 with a wonderful content creator, creative artist, and all things in between, Cynthia Marie. How are you doing?
I'm great, how are you?
Good, good. So, I know that today that you were actually, you didn't just come to enjoy the actual convention, you worked it as a model for the fashion show. How did that go?
I did, it was wonderful. So, modeled for Baby, the Starshine Bright.
Yeah.
So it's a Lolita fashion. Apparently, I just learned about this. This is OG Lolita fashion, one of the first ones. They started in the 1980s, I believe it was that. So yeah, really awesome. So I got to wear, specifically from Alice the Pirate, so it's as if Alice in Wonderland hung out with some pirates.
Yeah.
So I was wearing a cute little green Lolita dress, and totally reminded me of Lydia Dietz. So I did all my own makeup and everything. It was awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I know and love you and all the things that you've done and everything, but for anyone who might be watching that is not familiar with you and your work, could you take a moment to introduce yourself and all the things that you do?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Cynthia Marie. I am a retired cosplayer, a TTRPG enthusiast. You may know me on a little show called LA by Night. I play a lot of vampire. I play Call of Cthulhu. I play D&D. I play a lot of different games in the streaming channels. I'm also a dancer and choreographer locally to LA. I was a dancer and choreographer for a masquerade ball called Labyrinth of Durith. If anybody's known about that, I did that for about 10 years or so. Yes, I know I look a lot younger than I say I am, but I trust me, I did that for quite some time. Yeah, I got my degree in dance, BFA from Cal Arts. So yeah, just kind of an overall performer, dancer, artist extraordinaire.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. So you are the definition of an artist, essentially. You're just a creative. So when you were growing up, did you know that you always wanted to be an artist, or was it something that you ended up stumbling upon? Because I know that for your normal job, you're an engineer, a legit full-blown, which is the polar opposite of art in a lot of people's minds and opinions. So did you know that you were going to be an artist when you were?
100%. Yeah, since I was 2 years old, I was dancing. I'm pretty sure I came dancing out of my mom's womb, but it is what it is. But no, when I was a little kid, I was dancing up and down the aisles of supermarkets and Home Depot, trying to figure out what poses are right for me. I went to arts high school, so that's a lot harder to get in than other people think. So have you ever heard of the TV show Fame?
Yeah.
So I went to the Los Angeles equivalent of Fame. So Los Angeles County High School for the Arts is an art school. And then I graduated from there, and then a few years later went to Cal Arts. So double dance, basically, if you want dance emphasis. That's terrifying. Okay, sorry. Mike Myers just rolled on by. Not a horror fan, contrary to all the TTRPGs I play.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, so I've always known that I was going to be a dancer. And funny that you say that it's opposite of engineering, because I always my dad and I kind of talk about this.
Yeah.
So there's STEAM. I don't know if anybody recognizes that. So there's the acronym STEM that everybody's used to hearing. They've now added A for the arts.
Oh.
So we try to say that as an engineer, you are very artistic. It's just a different way of looking at the artistry, right? Instead of building or painting beautiful things, you're building a product.
Yeah. That's really cool. Oh my gosh. So I know that in your career, you've had a lot of victories and a lot of W's and everything like that. That should be celebrated, and we'll definitely talk about that. But one of the things I love talking about with creatives are their L's. They're sort of the times that weren't so great, or and one of the things I want to ask is what was a time in your career that was an L for you? Now, a friend of mine says L's no longer stand for losses, stand for lessons. It's what was a big lesson? Whether it was a situation where you brought your A game to the table, you were ready to go, and it still fell through the cracks, or if it was a situation where you got a little bit overconfident or whatever, and then something stumbled, and you're you know what, that was my bad,
Yeah.
So what was a big L for you that kind of made you better, you became better for it?
For sure, yeah. So I auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance directly out of college. And that was a multitude of lessons. I think I auditioned 3 times in a year, consecutively. So the first year I sat there because I came out of Cal Arts as a modern dancer and ballerina, so I was going to be oh yeah, I could do contemporary, I'm just one of those people. And I watched what was going on, and the first thing that the producer ever says to you is, this is not a dance show. This is not a dance competition. This is a reality show. Show me why you need to be on here. And I stood back being this is not a dance show? Like, excuse me? How dare? So I got cut immediately that first time because I was not prepared for what that was. So the second year I came back and I was like, all right, I'm gonna build a character. Sound familiar, right?
Right, yeah.
Build a character. And this was at the time that Lady Gaga was starting to become like really famous. You remember the song, oh my gosh, the phone call, Telephone. Yeah, her song Telephone, sorry.
You're
So obvious what that song was called. So it was right when she was coming out with that song. I was working at Verizon at the time, which is totally awkward and weird. So I was like, I'm gonna just choreograph to this song because it's really dope and cool. I put like colored hair extensions. I was wearing a neon yellow bomber with like big raver pants, and like everyone's like, hey yo, you're the cosplayer, right? I was like, yeah, I'm the cosplayer. Yeah, like let's do the thing. So I became the character of this cosplayer. And so I went in and danced hip hop instead of contemporary because I started noticing that everybody was just like, I want to be this elegant, beautiful thing. And I was like, nah, dude, like I'm a girl. There's a bunch of b-boys, so I'm just gonna sit here and be like, like, and I got past the first gate that I didn't make it to. And then all of a sudden, I had to do a very long audition that I was not ready for because I didn't choreograph my solo at all. So I got all the way to, if you've watched the show, I got all the way to the partnering section before they let you go to Vegas. Unfortunately, I did not get cast. I could tell you all about the details later because it was quite the tea, y'all. But the big lesson there for me was understanding how they cast a reality show. And the reason why I didn't get it wasn't because I wasn't good, because I was good. It was that they cast somebody in New York that looked just like me. And who also did all the whacking and the hip hop, so I get it. Like, they didn't want me because they already had someone who was like me or had that story. So I was never hurt that I didn't get cast in it or didn't make it. I just knew that they were casting a show. So anytime I go into auditions, it's never about me. It's always about what is that person looking for behind the table.
That's good. That's actually a really good, like, lesson. And then when it comes to creatives and artists and all that kind of stuff, one of the biggest, like, issues, fears, threats, and all that kind of stuff is the topic of like burnout, you know, because like we are so creative, we like, you know, shine bright, and then eventually we just do too much to the point where we have a breakdown, whether it be emotionally, you know, physically, whatever. So in your career, no doubt that like there's been like even though you're like Wonder Woman, where you've done it all and like been strong and so wonderful, there have had to been times that were pretty low. And what do you do now that you like make sure that burnout kind of stays at bay as much as possible? How do you take care of yourself?
Self-care. That's a really good question. So I think before with my cosplay, when I had burnout, I would try to switch my attention to some other hobby, which is probably not one of the most healthiest things. But now when I experience burnout, I kind of go internally and kind of understand like, all right, why am I experiencing this burnout? Is it because I'm frustrated with this? Is it because I'm taking too much time from out from myself? And usually it's because I'm just not taking a break. So I kind of take time to myself. I won't book anything for like a month because it takes me that long to recharge sometimes. And I just kind of relax and start kind of doing the things that I need to do, like cleaning the house or like getting rid of clothes or like doing, you know, walking my dog or sitting there and catching up on Netflix because some of us got to watch Stranger Things, you know, like so things like that. Just to kind of get my mind back into a creative space. And then when I'm ready, I go for it. And then I also am just really cautious about signing on to things that don't take my mana. Signing on to things that add mana to me or people who add mana to me because I don't want to expend my energy for anyone anymore.
That's fair. That's like really, really healthy. That's cool. So like pivoting on the other end of the spectrum, you've had a lot of W's and a lot of victories in your career. So what is one of the W's that you feel the most like the strongest about that you felt is really near and dear to your heart?
Oh man, that one, I have a lot that are near and dear to my heart. But I think the one that I worked hard, and it doesn't seem like it because it just kind of happened, was LA by Night. So like what most people don't know about LA by Night is that we were all cast kind of separately from people who knew people who knew people who knew people, right? So I had been in the industry, in the dance industry, in the performance industry in LA for ever. I'm old, so forever. And so I knew people who had come to LOJ to watch me perform. They've seen my work ethic as a producer and stuff like that. And Jason Carl was the one who and I became friends, based on a couple of different performances that I've done around, and I actually helped out with By Night Studios when they did their release on the Queen Mary. Also, they did a documentary, which I was in, so if you see that, I'm a little venture in that.
Yeah.
So kind of like cross-pollinating with Jason. Jason knew my work ethic, and when LA by Night came up, I was asked because Jason was integral to saying, hey, you guys should take a look at her. She's actually like been around, been doing all these things, and lo and behold, I got cast, which is huge for me because I don't like auditions. I like hate them with a passion. So for someone to have recognized my talent and my fervor and my work ethic, to be added on a show like that was just like huge and humbling for me, and I was just so excited to be there.
Yeah. It's good you got cast because you're like literally my favorite character on the show. Yeah, so it's like, it's amazing. So that's incredible. Oh my gosh. So you do a lot of things, you know, so like dancing and like, you know, acting, tabletop performing, all that sort of stuff. Out of all these different like hobbies that you do or careers, all that sort of stuff, which one would you say is like that surprises you is the hardest? Whether it requires the most amount of energy to like, you know, get right or to learn or whatever, like which one do you feel is the most challenging?
Oh, that's an interesting question. What do I find? I don't find many things challenging, so you gotta give me a second. I don't think any of them are challenging. I'll say which one's intimidating.
Yeah.
Definitely TTRPG was intimidating for me, because I've been performing, like I said, since I was 2 years old. Like, I've been in commercials, like I was an NBC like cartoon dancer, like, so I wasn't necessarily scared to be in a performance space. But the fact that I had to talk scared the bejeebus out of me. Because I can emote all day and like make tears come out of my eyes and like walk across the stage like there's nothing tomorrow. But someone tell me like, hey, you're gonna improv and like just act, and I'm like,
and you have to learn the game. You're
excuse
like,
me, what? And I have to do like, hold on, I have to memorize spells? Oh, crud. Like, so I would say TTRPG was probably the most intimidating for me, but not challenging. I got the hang of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then some. That's wild because like, again, you're an engineer, you're a dancer, you're like all these different things, and then hearing that TTRPG is actually the thing that's most intimidating is so wild. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. And so what would you say, like when you were younger, were geeky passions that helped inspire you in your creativity? Which I have a guess as to what, like, as to what might be one of them.
Also Power Rangers. I'm a huge Power Ranger fan. Kimberly Hart all day long. I am the Pink Ranger. Like, don't even get me started. I think between Sailor Moon and Power Rangers was definitely kind of where I got my inspiration, specifically for wanting to be a stunt fighter. And I actually ended up being a stunt fighter for 3 years. So I really loved doing that. Anything pink really, like I gravitated towards in terms of inspiring. So, you know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so like Lisa Frank, like all the neon pinks and everything. I'm trying to think, as a kid growing up, I honestly spent a lot of time in a dance studio, so like,
Right on. That's cool. Perfect. And then, so a couple rapid fire questions that aren't so intense or anything like that, although they could be if you want to. So we are at Anime Expo. So for when you watch anime, what do you prefer, subbed anime or dubbed anime?
Oh gosh, dubbed.
Dubbed?
All day, every day. I'm sorry. Okay, like here's the thing. Like I appreciate. We had this conversation. I appreciate sub. I totally get it, and I respect the art form, and I respect that it comes from a different culture that I understand. At the same time, if I wanted to read a novel, I will pick up a book. So I'd rather have it dubbed so I can listen in and actually focus on the beautiful animation that there is.
There you go. That's perfect. Good question. Good answer. And then second, what is an anime that you feel is overrated that like everyone loves, but you're like, it's like not that good?
My Hero Academia.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Over it. Done. Bye.
People this weekend have said like One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, so like that's fair. That's like totally cool. So
the only reason why I say it is because I'm not a big anime nerd. Like it's really hard for me, and my sister is a huge weeb. And so every time somebody walks by, I'm like, who's that? She's like, My Hero Academia. Who's that? My Hero Academia. Who's that? And I'm like, can we not? Like there are other ones out there, please.
So good. Oh my god. And then, so you have done a lot of characters in the TTRPG, like Realm and Space and everything. So out of all these different personalities, which one would you say is your favorite character to play?
All of them. Lately, or like just like all-star.
Yeah, all-star.
I mean, I love Nelly.
Yeah.
Nelly is me. Like, Nelly's my diva. I absolutely love playing Girasol. Who else do I enjoy playing? Oh. I'm playing a character right now that I actually really enjoy, and it hasn't aired yet, so I can't tell you.
Oh, okay. We'll just have your mouth moving, and we'll just put a bleep like the
bloop,
entire
bloop,
time.
bloop, bloop, bloop,
Wow, that was
bloop.
amazing.
This character.
So good. Perfect.
I don't know. I enjoy the experiences with everybody and the characters that I create. So it's hard to just pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then, if you could go back in time and you could sit down at a table with your younger version of yourself, what is one piece of advice that you would impart onto them that you feel would make your journey a little bit easier?
Ooh. Stop listening to other people's opinions. Because they'll tear you down because you're actually good at what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's solid. That's like super solid. Yeah. Perfect. And then, where can we find you online?
Oh man, you guys can find me on Instagram at Cynthia__Marie. That is 2 underscores, not 1. That's where you can see some of my cosplay, my old cosplay, and my makeup, and my different characters. Or on Twitter, you can find me at CynDancer, where I discuss a lot of my anxiety and depression and ways to kind of help and cope with it. I'm a huge advocate. #anxiety warriors.
Yeah.
And I don't do the TikTok talks. I am too old for the TikTok talks, but it is what it is. So you can find me on those 2 platforms, and I'm happy to interact.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for taking the time to answer a few of our questions, and hope you have a wonderful weekend. And we will be back with more content soon, and we'll see you guys later.